Um, when I got out of that incarceration, I didn't know what I was going to do, where I was going to go. Some people offered me a ride to Boston, and they said, "Oh, we have just a place for you. We found a place where you can go." They took me into Boston. And they dropped me off at a shelter, and I was kind of like, my feelings were hurt, but I said, I have my freedom, and I don't know what I'm gonna. But you know, the honesty of it is, what came to mind for me is I had promised God if I made it through that incarceration, that I would try to give Him the rest of my life. Lo and behold, uh, I was panhandling and I ran across this gentleman. And he said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I'm just trying to sit here, make a couple dollars, and do what I can do to make my life better." And after the man bought me a cup of coffee, he said, "Why don't you come with me?" And he took me to this church called Our Lady of Victories. It was a French Maris church over in the South End, and I had never seen it before, but I went in there, and he introduced me to a priest named Father Joe. Um, Father Joe and I talked for a little bit, and I went to Mass. And after Mass, he said, "Hang around." So after Mass, Kevin and I went into the rectory, and we talked a little bit, and I kind of gave him a little bit of my story. And he said to me, "So what do you want and what are you looking for?" And I just said, "I'm looking for a church to go to." And he said, "Well, you're welcome here. And all I can say is keep coming." Then one day I get a call from Father Joe, and he says, "I met this guy." And I talked with this guy, and he said the first person's name who came to my mind when he talked about this was you. And lo and behold, who he introduced me to was Jay Burke. The wonderful thing that I was learning was that I was gaining a family. Many of the guys that I was dealing with and sitting at the table with every Friday were people from AA, and they were looking for something that was more than AA. And this spiritual hope that they got from ISP was a wonderful thing for them. And I was finding that it was the same thing that I needed. And after a couple months, Jay suggested that there was a retreat coming up, and if I would like to go on a retreat, I was more than welcome to sign up. Of course, I had somebody that he could ask, which was Father Joe. And I think Father Joe said, "Yeah, I think the George would be good for a retreat, would be good for George." And, you know, I was so blessed without even really knowing it that Father Joe he, he was building the future for me. And it's like I said, he said as soon as he talked to Jay, the first person that come to mind was me. Here I am. I don't mean to be a little elongated, but here I am. I'm with ISP since 2014, I believe it is. And my life has just been a wonderful ride. I've been invited to many retreats. I've been invited to be a witness on a few retreats. I've also been a facilitator at many of the retreats that I go to, and I've just felt the spirit of God each and every time I've been involved in retreat, just listening to the other brothers. If I'm a witness, telling my story and letting people know and understand that this is how it is, and they can open up and offer their stories. And I've heard some wonderful, wonderful people open up and talk about their hardships and their rough times through ISP and the retreats. And I'm happy where I am. And I thank Father Joe and I thank ISP for allowing me to be a part of them. The other amazing thing with ISP, not once have I ever been judged by anybody in ISP. There were some times in some areas in my life in the past when I used to try to get a new beginning going, and people would say, "Well, what? How come you did this? Or how come you did?" nobody has ever judged me or, tried to moralize me in ISP. And I'm so thankful for that. I have a wonderful, beautiful family, and I hope that I spend the rest of my life being with you guys and serving the cause. Thank you.